Guys, welcome back to another episode of The Room, where having a healthy mind is priority. Now, if you follow me on Instagram at Desmond Bonet, you'll notice that I put up a post about me reaching out to more women this year to get a lot of perspectives coming from the women's side. I know me as a man, I could speak from a certain point of view that women might not be able to, relate to. And I know a lot of women out there have amazing stories. Today we have Jenny, and she's going to talk about just the different, the different effects that anxiety has, and just the different experiences. Introduce yourself to the world, and then, we'll start from there.
Hi, my name's Jenny. Originally from Dominican Republic. That's where I was born. Came out here, not to New York. I came to the United States at a really young age. I was 5 years old when I came to Miami, Florida. Something new to me, but if we're gonna talk about the anxiety, we could start there because that really started in the Dominican Republic days. I have earliest memories, I could say like 2 years old, just going into full like crazy anxiety attack mode that I don't know if my memory serves me right, but okay, so I have what's it called, the separation anxiety, because my dad left. Like I was before I was 2, he left in search of a better life, which I'm not mad at him because he did find that better life. That's where I'm here today. But
so he came out here first and then brought you guys over.
His story is crazy. He did a lot before he could even make it out here, but he did make it out here. And I didn't understand at the time. I was a kid. Like I just want my dad next to me. Yeah. So I didn't understand. So I'm just left with my sister and my mom. Then my mom decides that she doesn't want kids. She wants to go live her life. And I remember that moment, she's just getting on a motorcycle, ready to just go and chill, just drop me off somewhere with my little baby sister. And I went crazy. And I remember holding on to the motorcycle, and the guy's like trying to rev away, and there was no way he could. I don't know how he couldn't do this. I'm going crazy. Like it took about 4 of my uncles to pry me off that motorcycle.
This was after your father already.
Yeah, when my father was gone, so like now I'm seeing the only other adult that protects me leaving. So I just, that from that moment on, it's like I kind of I didn't really trust adults, you could say. I didn't. Even when my dad finally came back, he came back when I was 5 with a whole new wife and said, I'm here to get my kids. Yeah. So he took us. He took us. Never saw Dominican Republic again in my life. Like,
and that was
gone.
What age was that?
I was 5. That was 1991, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, 1991. Since then, never saw that again.
How's the sorry to interrupt. How's the relationship with you and your sister?
That's the closest person like in my life. Like because at that moment she was a baby, I kind of became her mother, you could say. Like I took care of her.
So your lack of trust in adults kind of led you to be more closer
as we grew up. Like when my dad brought us to the United States, he wanted us to have a relationship with our stepmother, which a relationship was built. It grew, and to me that's my mom today. But I never confided in them in anything. Anything happened to me in school, anything happened to me outside with a friend, with whoever, the only one that would know is my sister. The adults would never ever find out. Like my dad found stuff out that happened to me as a kid after I was an adult, because I think I got drunk one day, got mad, and I started saying stuff to him that he was like, what? You never told me this. How could you have told me this? I would have took care of it. And I'm just looking at him like, I didn't trust you. I didn't look at you like that. Like, to me, I never thought that adults could really help. Like, I felt like they looked out for themselves and their happiness, or whatever they wanted, they were gonna do. They didn't care about what their kids wanted. So I mean, that kind of makes me be like, I'm a mom of 2, and I mean, I don't want to be their friend. Like, I am stern with them, I punish them, whatever I gotta do. But I asked them how they feel, what they want, like, what's your opinion on this? Do you want to go to this place? Do you want to go over here? Like, I asked them questions. I want to know because I didn't have that as a child. Like, that I think is damaging because you kind of have to learn to communicate as you get older, something you should learn as you're growing up. I didn't really learn that. It's been a struggle. Like, I don't know. I know a little bit. Let's say I know a little bit now, but I didn't before, and everything was just, I go into anxiety mode. I start going crazy. I start panicking. There was a time I would pass out. There's certain times I passed out. It was bad because I would just feel like, the way my anxiety works, I just feel like my heart's stopping. That's the feeling I always feel, and then I can't breathe. And I remember the first time I started blacking out. It never happened to me before. And I was saying to my boyfriend at the time, like, oh my God, I think I'm dying. And I'm just like, falling down, like, I'm dying. Like, I felt everything going dark on me. So, it's hard to cope with. I'm trying to learn that.
At, going back real quick. At a young age, what did you do to kind of deal with that? First, did you even know what that was? Because I know me as a kid, like, I had to learn what anxiety was, and then I figured out in my adult years. Like, did you even know what was going on with you?
I didn't know. I had no idea that these were anxiety attacks that I was having at a younger age. I didn't know what that was. All I know is when I would get into those modes, the only thing that would ever make me feel better was reading. Like, I was a bookworm. Everybody make fun of me about that, but I was literally like, I feel like, okay, I'm gonna read a book. That's making me forget everything about my life, everything. I'm just reading about somebody else's life. I'm lost in somebody else's. To this day, it kind of still is. Not as much anymore. I don't have the time to really read the way that I used to. But when I do have that time, I'm like, let me pick up that book. Let me read. Because it doesn't matter. Every day, I know I'm going through anxiety. I just cover it up better. I handle it better now, but I know it's there. So I try to do a little bit every single day, maybe read a little something. Or my friend actually has a podcast. It's called AYA, Affirm Your Abundance. That's what it stands for.
That's fine.
Affirm Your Abundance. And that she does real short clips every single day. Like, they could be maybe a few minutes long. But that it's like a little pep talk, like, okay, this is gonna get me through the day. Like, yeah.
That's dope.
So yeah, if everybody who's listening, look that up.
I was just about to say the same thing. If the friend is watching, you're more than welcome to come on the show and talk about your experiences as well, man.
Oh, that's an excuse for her to come to New York. She's based in Florida, Miami, Florida.
Just to go back to the beginning again. So you move out here. Well, not New York. You moved from DR to Miami.
To Miami, yep.
What was the difference like? Like, just being... I personally never went to DR. Hopefully I'll go soon. But the difference of just growing up there and then now you over here.
There's the DR that everybody knows. The Santo Domingo, the city area, the beautiful area. And then there's the country, the woods, the boondocks. Like, that's where I'm from. It's not something that I don't want to think about it. Yes, I have memories of it, but it's like, it's a whole different life over here. I always think to myself, like let's say I got deported for something. Like, I get deported and I go out there. Everybody's like, oh, you'll be good out there. It's DR. It's your country. I'm like, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about DR. I will, like, drop dead on the spot. Like, yeah, I haven't lost my Spanish, thank God. I could speak perfect Spanish, so I'd be able to, like, fend for myself in that case. But other than that, I wouldn't find my way around. Like, I don't know anything about that.
When the last time you been back there?
I told you, when I left, I never went back.
Oh, you never... Oh,
I couldn't.
Are you serious? You
never
went back?
I couldn't. This is crazy. Like, most of my friends, they know my story. Like, they know what's up. But my dad did crazy shit just to, like, get me and my sister out of there. He didn't want us to ever see our mom again. Like, he did so much shit that there was no way, as, like, in a young age, he could never bring us in there because he'd probably lose custody of us, and that wasn't in his plans. Like, his girls were his girls. He wasn't losing us. So, no, I never went back over there. It was hard coming over here.
Did you ever get a chance to reconnect with your mother, or that's still...
I actually did, right after I had my first child back in 2008. we kind of started communicating a little bit here and there. I had my first child. She heard about this by my aunt, my dad's sister, because they still had a very good relationship. So she found out about it, found me through Facebook. We had a couple conversations. She did, get into certain things that I probably didn't understand as I was a child. And, I'm not mad about it anymore. I understood they had a relationship. My dad did what he did. She did what she did. As a relationship, it didn't work. It's just, I'm still kind of in the process of reconnecting. I know I said 2008 and we're in 2021. But it's hard. I mean, we don't live in the same country.
So she's still in DR?
She's not in DR anymore, actually. Now she lives in Spain with her new husband, and then she had 2 kids after my sister and I were taken from her. So she built a whole new life. She's doing good for herself. Can't be mad at her. But I just feel like I'm a mother now, and I don't know. I could never imagine letting any man take my kids and not fighting for them, not doing something about it. So there's just maybe what's the word? Like a little bit of resentment in me, I would say. I feel like she didn't fight for her girls. I don't know. We're all different. I always look at it and I'm like, if I was in her shoes, I would have done things much different. But what do I know?
Definitely, man. Everybody who watches this, and a lot of the people that know me personally knows I'm real big on giving people their flowers while they're here. So I understand that it is, it's not the brightest of stories, but I want you to just take a moment and understand how different it could have been. For instance, a lot of people are raised a certain way and it trickles down. So if they raised this way, it just keeps going on. It's just generational, keep going. So the fact that you was able to, it might have took a little minute, but the fact that you was able to realize what was wrong and then correct it yourself with your parenting, that's, I don't know if you do, but if you don't, that's one of the things that you should wake up and automatically understand that positivity and that strong thing that's going on.
I don't think about it much, but I mean, you make good sense. I bumped heads recently with my stepmom out in Florida. I went out there for the holidays, and she saw my type of parenting style. My sister was there too. She has the same parenting style as I do. She kind of started criticizing it. So we started bumping heads in that because she sees it as me asking my kids on their opinions on things. I'm giving them too much say, I guess. She's saying, they're kids. They just do what their parents say. I don't see it that way.
How old is your stepmom, if you don't mind me asking?
She is, not the greatest in math, but she was born in 1960. So, in September of 1960.
Oh, she Virgo?
Yes. September 20th. That's her birthday.
September 9th.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so 60. I can understand. Because that's basically, the woman that raised you. So I can understand why that would affect you.
She's extremely old school.
That's what I was just about to say.
Old school.
There's a lot of people that, it's not that they not willing to change, but when you're just so comfortable with something, it's just
and something just clicked in my mind when you said that, that's the woman who raised you.
Yeah.
As I got older, when I met the father of my children, we started living together. I guess I took a lot of the way that my stepmother would act with my father when she would get mad, and since I already have anxiety problems, that kind of triggered me, I would say, because I would see how she would act, and automatically I started realizing oh my god, I'm acting just like her. And it makes me mad because I'm I always used to tell myself and tell my sister, I'm never going to be like this lady. She's crazy. Look at how she talks. She's huffing and puffing for no reason. She needs to calm down. And today, that's me. Not constantly, but I catch myself sometimes and I'm wow, why am I flipping like this? Calm down.
Got you. I mean, things like that is natural. It's, for lack of a better term, it's just growing up. I had an episode where I spoke about this before. I don't like drinking at all. This is just my personal reasons. I've grew up around a lot of alcoholics, so I don't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still noticed that I had some of the same characteristics. I didn't drink, but I'm around people that act a certain way, so naturally you just kind of adapt. And you know, it's like living in DR and, you know, coming to the US. You might have a heavy accent once you first get here, but after a while you kind of adapt. It softens a little bit. So it's kind of the same thing. But what you should pay attention to is the fact that a lot of people don't even realize that. So the fact that you that self-aware to realize that and know, damn, I'm acting like such and such. So let me fix that. Let me switch over. A lot of people will notice it and still just do it.
Well, that was one thing. Yeah, that is a coping thing of mine. It's really weird, but even as a little girl, I kind of like would look at myself like as a third person, like I wasn't me. Like I'm just sitting there evaluating myself as I'm just a whole different person looking at myself. And I remember saying, like, making a comment to my dad. I was like 8, 9 years old, and that's when I'm telling him in Spanish. I'm like, Dad, you know that sometimes I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm just wondering to myself, who am I? Like, I don't know who I am. I'm looking at myself and I don't know like who this person is, and I'm just wondering. And he just looked at me funny and he's like, don't ever think like that. You know who you are. And he just recited my whole entire freaking name, and I'm just like, oh, okay. But even growing up, like, I still, every time something's going on, I just sit there and I'm like pretending I'm somebody else. Like, it's just weird. It's a weird mechanism of mine.
The first time that happened, like, what did that feel to you? Like when you first time you questioned, like, who am I? Were you looking for a certain answer, or it was just like?
I was like basically in a situation, and you know, I told you I came to Miami. I didn't speak not one word of English, nothing, like nothing at all. Straight Dominican Spanish, like the heavy accent, like you said, it was bad. So even though I went to a school that had Hispanic kids as well, you know, Miami, Florida is a lot of Cubans over there. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a lot of them didn't speak English either. They only spoke Spanish. But at that time, in that part of Miami, in Hialeah, Florida, everything is Cubans. They didn't know about Dominicans. Like, I was literally the first Dominican kid in that school. So, you know, they're laughing at me, like about my accent, about my name, because the way my name is. So my name's really supposed to be Jennifer, but my dad decided he was going to do his own thing and spelled my name Jennyfett. So even though Dominicans, they'll say Jennifer, like it's still Jennifer. No, Americans or anybody else, they look like
that too.
It says Jenny Fett, so your name is Jenny Fett. And so yeah, as a little girl, I went into the shell, like, because I'm wondering myself, like, I'm so different, like all these kids are looking at me like I'm like legit like an alien or something. That's how I felt. I really felt like I didn't even want nobody calling me by my name. It was only Jenny. Like, I hid, basically. I was like trying to hide, and I didn't know like who to be, what to be, who I was. I was lost. Like, I was really, really lost. I never had any friends either like that growing up, because like I told you, I was left to fend for my little sister. So it was just my sister and I didn't have relationships with nobody. Like, I didn't know how to be a kid. Honestly, I didn't know how to be a kid. My stepmother would get mad because I would want to conversate with the adults, and I'd be saying things. There's like, whoa, why is this little girl saying this? I didn't know how to be a kid. I stopped being a kid at 2. Like, literally, I stopped being a kid and not at the same time. So sometimes I feel like for some things I could be really mature, and then other things I'm so immature because I don't know. I guess I didn't develop fully in certain areas because I didn't want to be around adults, and I felt like adults couldn't really teach me anything. So, you know, I just picked up a lot on my own. My dad was there. I'm not going to say he wasn't there. He was, just not mentally, like, you know. Physically.
Well, speaking mentally, how was that relationship as far as, did you guys, like, sit down and have serious conversations? Like, where was he?
Only when I got in trouble for something. That's literally the only time my dad would have a serious conversation, was because I just did some stupid shit, and he would have to, like, no choice, but I sit down with this girl and talk to her. Other than that, my dad's like a clown. Like he's a very like sociable person. So, even down in Miami, he owns a restaurant and he has like it's like a big part of society. I guess like a lot of people know him. So even though he is a family man, he takes care of his family, does what he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's not always there. Like he has so many relationships outside of the house that it leaves very little time for that time that you need to give to your kids, to your wife. Like, that was always kind of missing in there.
Got you. Damn, this is always like, one of my favorite things to do, because like I always say, I like everything to be genuine, and I like the fact that I can learn at the same time, while everybody's learning. You can let me know if I'm wrong, this is me just listening to you and everything like that. The anxiety, right? First and foremost, before I continue, do you ever like have an anxiety attack around your children? And if you do, how do you kind of deal with it in front of them?
I don't know how to deal with that, because the times that it's happened that I went into like anxiety attack mode in front of them is just so much going on. It's too late for me to control myself. Like there was an occasion, and wow, this was years ago, because my daughter's 12 right now, and I think she wasn't even 10 at the time yet. I went into anxiety mode over something about her father, and I was completely pissed, and I'm crying and I'm screaming, and she's trying to tell me something, and I'm not paying no attention to her, and I'm just like wilding out. My little girl really just slapped the shit out of me to snap me out of it. Like I was just in shock, like, did you just smack me? I was in shock. And she's just like when I looked at her little face, she was hurt herself. Like it hurt me when I saw her face. She's like, Mom, you just need to stop it. Just stop. Quiet down. Don't cry like this. When I see her, how she's acting, I felt embarrassed. I'm like, wow, my little girl's telling me, a grown-ass woman, that I need to stop it, that I need to calm down. I'm like, this is crazy right now. This is really crazy.
She had to be the adult in that moment.
Yeah, and there was a lot of occasions that she did have to be the adult, because it's taken me so many years to really like get a grip on myself. Like,
have you ever thought about sitting down and speaking with somebody?
Yeah, I have. The furthest I've gotten is with my friend Tiffany, the one who has the podcast. Mm-hmm. Because she went to school for this, and she even does counseling for people. So I do talk to her every once in a while, and she has helped me through certain things. So now I feel like, there's certain things I understand. So one thing I've learned is that, I need to stop, like, anything I can't control, just leave it alone. Because I was always a control freak. I felt like I needed to control every situation going on in my life. Like, every person in my life, I needed to control everything that they're doing. She's helped me out a lot with that when it comes to, like, that control problem that I have. I even took off that thing that will tell people when the message is read and all that. Like, that's how good I've gotten, because I needed to know when that was delivered, when you're ready. I got rid of that. Baby steps.
Listening to your story, and like I said, if I'm wrong, definitely let me know so we can correct everything. Just listening to you, and the reason why I asked you if you ever spoke to someone is because I'm kind of getting everything that leads back to you being that little kid whose mom, is on a motorcycle leaving, and the dad comes and just kind of take you away to a different place. So when you mix basically not having no consistent adult figures to make you, because at the end of the day, like kids, we want to feel safe. When you're a kid, you want to feel safe. You want to feel like mommy and daddy's always there no matter what. The minute they're not there, that's when anxiety kicks in, separation anxiety. And you start to, for instance, not to switch it around, but me, for instance, not learned as a kid, very, very young, I became conditioned to just make decisions for myself. I'm super observant and I'm super aware. So as a kid, I felt like I was being a bother if I came to somebody with something.
Right.
So I would just, right or wrong, I would just make the decisions myself. I became an adult mentally when I didn't really have to be. It was the adult's job to stop whatever it is they're doing, come down and, properly parent. But at the same time, you can't really, going back to what we said earlier, they old school.
Yeah.
They stick to one way, so it's up to us to just make sure we do things different.
They believe children should be seen and not heard. That's what they believe.
And that's why I kind of love this generation. I don't love everything about this generation.
Not everything.
But I love this generation for the fact that, I don't mean this in a wrong way, they're more emotional and they're more expressive. Like, I started this show last year, 2020. If we were in 2010, I would not be able to have a show like this and have a consistent audience of people that either dealt with everything I talk about and want to learn more, because people weren't comfortable about it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
sure. Talk about it.
I'm pretty sure there was a time in your life where you never wanted to talk about your anxiety for whatever reason. People just have that certain effect. But just to go back to what I was saying, when your daughter, slapped you, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you could kind of look at that kind of like a mirror view. She had to be the adult in that situation as the child. And you growing up your whole life, that's all you knew. The two people that you seen as adults weren't there. So you became the adult figure for your sister. So in turn, that leads you to only want to conversate with adults because you feel like you're already there. But at the same time, you're not all the way in because of the two people that's supposed to be there. So to bring everything together, that's why I asked about, speaking to somebody. Because it's just good to do it because you get to backtrack and start from the beginning.
It is.
Figure out why something is still there.
I think it was easy. Like, I never wanted to speak to anybody that didn't really know me because, it felt weird. But with my friend, it was easy because she already knew me. She knew my parents. So, she could kind of understand me more than anybody else could. She was in my life. I came to Miami when I was 5. I met her when I was about 9, I think. 9 or 10 years old. So she's been in my life since that moment. So she saw me grow up. And to this day, she always laughs. And she says, oh, yeah, Jenny always thought she was more mature than everybody else. Like, she was all grown. Because that was me. That was literally me. I was always trying to boss them around. Like, though, what I say goes, I'm telling you this is how things go. That was me. It's still kind of me, but, I'm better at it.
If you now met that little girl that thought she was super mature, that had her little sister to take care of, if you was to meet her right now as the woman you are now, what advice or just life lessons, what would you say?
I just want to tell her the future and be like, listen, Jenny, relax, continue doing your school, because you're good at this. Because, yes, I will brag about it. I was a 4.0 student. I got scholarships and everything.
That's definitely something to brag about.
Like, what? My dad was so proud of that. He would brag to everybody about this. It's like, yeah, I brought my daughter from Dominican Republic. And look at her. She's smarter than all these American kids. So, yeah, I would just tell myself, just worry about that. Because I grew up, being insecure, and so there was a point in life I was kind of going boy crazy because I wanted boys to notice me. I wanted a boyfriend like the other girls. So it's like, no, growing up now, and I tell my daughter this all the time, forget about the boys. You by yourself, you could have the whole world. You don't need no boy next to you to do anything in your life.
You gotta love yourself first.
And I pride myself in telling her this all the time. She tells people nowadays, no, I know, we were having a conversation with her 3 years ago, and when she's talking about her plans for the future, she says, oh, so after she graduates high school, she's going to go to college because she's going to become a dentist. Was it a dentist? Either a dentist or a vet, because she goes between those two. So she's going to do this, and then she's going to go to medical school, and then when she's done that she's working, she's going to go travel the world. And I was like, okay, and then I was like, but Kim, throughout all your plans, you never said you were going to get married or have kids. And she was like, Mom, I don't want no husband. I don't need no man. All they're gonna do is tell me what to do all the time. And no, I don't have time for that. And I'm just laughing. And I'm like, all right. And I was like, dang, so no kids. So I was like, mommy can't get no grandkids. She's like, that's okay, mom. I'll go adopt one. And you still have your grandkids. I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, you know, as long as she's
like,
happy,
I hope
man.
she keeps that mentality. I'm gonna try to like push her as much as I can because I do love my kids. I don't regret having them. I had her at 20. I was 20 going on 21. But
that's your first child?
yeah, she was my first one. I have a 7-year-old little boy as well. But when I had her, it's like all the plans for the future kind of stopped. Like the scholarship is like, you know, I was in school, but I had to stop. Then I ended up moving out here to New York because her father was from out here, and he's like, you know, I want you to come with me. I'm going to take care of y'all. You having my baby. So, you know, it's like life went a different direction. I don't regret it. I don't regret having my kids, but I could have done things a little differently. Like,
we all can.
You know, so I'm not...
The important thing is just to learn along the way, that's all.
I'm not trying to, like, tell my daughter how to live her life, but, like I said, just like if I were to meet myself now, like, that little girl, I tell her all these things. It's what I'm doing with my daughter. Like, I'm telling my daughter things that I wish I would have understood, like, when I was a kid. Like, I didn't. It was just that mentality of mine since I thought I was grown. Like, I'm looking at it as, you know, you got to grow up and you got to be a wife and you got to be the perfect wife and do this, do that. Like, it's kind of, like, immature in a way, old-fashioned. Because that's what my stepmom is. Like, she's basically a housewife. She's had her little jobs here and there, but she didn't even have a high school education. I believe she barely made it to middle school in her days. So all she knew was like, okay, I gotta be the best cook for my husband and do this for my husband. So that was a big thing. Like, you know, when I became a teenager, even when I left when I was 18, they tell me, oh, you're never gonna find a husband. You decided that you didn't need to know how to cook and do this and do that, like, for the house. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why? Why? Now I know it's like, why? Because I need to know for myself, not for a man, but because I need these life skills for myself.
Of course.
You know?
Right now, as an adult, what's the I know you still read whenever you get a chance, and that helps you calm. What are some other things that you kind of do to kind of relax yourself and keep calm whenever you feel like anxiety is heavy?
Honestly, smoking a blunt. Like, it's the only thing that helps. Like, I could tell you, yes, I could go buy a bottle and start having drinks, but like you, I refuse to go down that path. It's already brought me so much problems in my life. Not because I had a drinking problem, but, you know, I had people in my life, very, very close people, that, you know, ultimately that problem became my problem. I was in situations that's basically life and death situations, no exaggerations at all. Life and death situations because of the liquor, because of the drinking, because I saw it getting out of control, but I didn't control it. I just left it alone, and then it's just, you know, that's not the way I want to go anymore to help me. It doesn't help. So I'll tell anybody, like, you know, if you want to choose one of the two, I'd rather go with that smoking vice. Like,
definitely. Listen,
the liquor is not, like, that's poison. To me, it's what I'll do it, like, you know, socially. I'm at a party with my friends. They want to take a couple shots. I'm not gonna be the square and be like, no, I'm not gonna do that either.
But you're not gonna.
But now, now I know, like, it's not those days anymore that we're gonna go get this $100 bottle and we're gonna down the whole bottle. Like, let's be moderate. We could buy a bottle that we have at home all week and just, you know, just take a couple shots here and there. You don't need to overdo it. So, yeah.
Got you.
That liquor, I don't even want to think about that. That's just like, that doesn't solve anything. The next morning, the anxiety feels like it comes back double time. That's how I feel, because it's like most of the time when I would go out drinking to make myself feel better, bad stuff would happen. So the next day, now it's like, all right, now I have all my problems, and now I just added to my problems because I just did this stupid shit last night that I should have never done.
Got you. I want to ask you 2 questions before we get out of here. The first question is, just in case, you know, we have any other mothers watching right now, what advice would you give to other mothers who have children, I want to say around the same age as yours, 7, 12. What advice would you have for other mothers who deal with anxiety and how they should, I don't necessarily want to say hide it from the kids, because I feel like that's also like an old way of thinking.
Yeah, I don't like hiding it from my kids. You know what I do now? And this is the advice. Honestly, like, my daughter, she likes to do her own thing. She likes her Fortnite. She has her laptop that she watches her videos, whatever she wants to watch. And then my son is 7, but he's not your average 7-year-old. He is mildly autistic. So, he doesn't have behavioral problems or anything like that. He's a very calm, cool, collected kid. He just talks on his own time. He won't talk to you like to small conversations. That doesn't exist with him. He's a man of little words, and he means what he says what he means. That's all he's gonna tell you. So we've learned him, like, I put him into therapies, and then when I realized, my son is a little different from other kids, I made sure to get him the help he needed. I wasn't gonna be like other, not to be offensive to anybody, but there are mothers out there that they kind of they're in denial as to, when their kids do have a problem. Because, this is something back in the day, it didn't exist because parents were like, no, I'm going to beat it out the kid. Like, they're going to talk, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. When it really is a problem, These
Very
kids,
true.
some of these kids need help. So I got him his help. We started to learn him, and there's things that he loves to do. He is an artist. This kid, the way he draws is amazing. So he likes to draw, and then he has certain things he likes. He's obsessed with that cartoon, The Croods, the movie The Croods, since he was born in 2013. The first part of the movie came out that year. He's been watching it almost every single day since he was 3 months old. Second part of the movie just came out this past November that just passed.
He's watching it.
He's been watching it. I have an app on the Fire Stick that you can watch the movies, the movie theater movies for free. So he's been on that thing every single day. So my whole thing, when I feel it coming on, especially a year and a half ago, their father got incarcerated. So that was a huge thing because that man has always been an active father. Like, from day one, from the moment those kids were born, he's always been there. So from one day to another, he snatched out of their lives, out of my life, like he's not around anymore. That was one of the most trying times. That's when my anxiety went crazy. Because I'm like, oh shoot, I'm all alone. Like, I got to do this on my own. Because after mom and dad, like, I met him, and it was like, I had always that figure there helping me along through everything.
And now you feel like it got all
so he was gone, right?
The second time.
My anxiety started going crazy. So my whole thing, what I do now, tell my daughter, play your game, watch your thing, sit next to your brother. I'm gonna put his movie on the Fire Stick. Y'all gonna chill for a little bit. Chill there, and then I gotta remove myself. Sometimes maybe even a whole hour, like an hour just away from them, so I can gather myself, think about things, maybe make a phone call to somebody that, I could trust, and I could, like, let it all out.
Got you.
That's really it. Like, you do need a little bit of time away from the kids because you don't want them to see you, like, suffering. You don't want... I saw something recently online. What was it? It said, even if it's raining on you or something, you don't ever let your child see your storm or something like that. Like, you can't, like, you can't really let them see too much of what's going on, all your problems, because they're, you don't want to scar them. Let them have their own problems as they grow up and learn how to cope with certain things, because there's just some things they don't need to worry about. Like, when I was a kid, I used to worry about things I didn't have to worry about. Today, I think I'm like, why was I worried about those two? That's their relationship. Why would I stay up at night with my mom waiting for my dad to come when that was none of my business? Like, it's things like that. I try not to involve my daughter. I might be mad at her father about something. You know what? You don't need to know about what's going on with your dad. Like, that's your dad. Your relationship with him has nothing to do with my relationship with him. So let's leave it at that.
Second thing that it's not really a question. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but I wanted you to kind of just in detail explain, like, exactly what happens when you feel the anxiety coming on.
The first feeling, really, I just feel like my breathing gets really short, and I don't know if anybody else feels it, but I just feel like this cold feeling like it just starts like I don't know, like maybe in my stomach, and I just feel it like cover my whole body, kind of like if it was goosebumps, but inside, like all cold. Like I just feel cold, and I kind of like I pause and I can't move sometimes. Like I just like I'm literally like that. That's an anxiety attack when I'm alone. That's how it is. If I'm like in the middle of an argument, like with my sister, with my best friends, like with my relationship, like we're not living together right now. He's in a whole different state, so I feel like my anxiety has kind of like disappeared in a way. Which is kind of like a red flag. I hope he ain't watching this. It's kind of like a red flag, but I kind of felt like, wow, when this man comes around sometimes, it's like my anxiety is at an all-time high, and then when he's away, I feel so much calm. Like I don't have to worry about what he's gonna say, what he's gonna think. I started to realize that when he got incarcerated, when it was the first time ever in so many years that he was literally like not completely out of my life, but out of my life in the sense that he couldn't control anything going on in the outside. Like nothing going on. Every decision was on me now.
A sense of release.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. And I'm like, wow, like I love this man, but at the same time, like he triggers me a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like he could be a lot like my father sometimes, so it's really triggering.
That right there is an important thing too, because a lot of times we don't realize the triggers. And you could be with somebody for 15 years. And you could mistake your heart beating a certain way for something else. And the minute you're away from that person, that's when you start to notice all the difference. Like, oh, I'm calm. My heart's not beating too fast.
Right.
I'm not nervous.
Like, I'm driving home from work, and instead of being, like all worried, like, oh, my God, I got to rush home and make sure dinner's ready so this man is not, like, tripping when he gets home from work. Like, why dinner not done, this and that. Now, like, I'm driving home from work chilling, like, oh, I'm going to go pick up the kids. Maybe we'll just have takeout today because they don't even like too many of the foods anyway. Like, it was just like all this calm that I'm like, oh man, how am I going to tell him that I might like living separate? And like, yeah, that's I'll say that was one of my triggers. And when it comes to those, when people, there's my triggers, when I get into the anxiety attack mode, I kind of go into defensive mode as well. And I become it's like I become a different person, because now, like, when I'm alone, I'm looking at myself as third person and reevaluating everything. In this moment, I'm not that third person. I'm just somebody else completely, and I could be so mean. Like, there's so many things I've regretted saying and doing to certain people, and it's all because I was in the heat of the moment. They put me through this anxiety and this stress level that I didn't know how to control, and I would act out like just a whole, like, if I was a freaking Gemini, one of these Geminis has two personalities. Like, that's not me. I'm so sweet. Like, I get along with everybody. For me not to get along with somebody is rare. It's really, really rare. Like, I'll be honest, anytime I haven't got along with somebody, it usually had to do with work and my money. Like, you messed with that, and now I got a problem with you. But other than that, when it comes to anything else, I'm so chill with everybody.
That's dope, man. The last question I got is, what does mental health mean to you?
That's a hard one. I mean, I'd say mental health, take care of yourself emotionally. That's how I see it now. Because that's my problem. I was never taught how to control emotions. So that, remember when I say sometimes I feel like I'm so immature in a way? That's my immaturity right there. When it comes to emotions, I'm not the best at controlling any emotions. Sadness, anger, even sometimes like my happiness, excitement. I'm like sometimes I just go overboard with certain things. I'm like, damn, let me catch myself a little bit here. So that, I think mental health, that'd probably be it for me. That's what it is. Like, just learning to control your emotions. That's you taking care of your mental health. Before
we get out of here, I want to say a few important things. I'm trying to get a little more professional. I got my notes next to me and things like that. First and foremost, I want to say, even though your story is the way it is, take time to just focus in on the positives, right? You have a daughter that's 12. I never met your daughter, but just hearing her, she sounds super smart and mature just talking to you. So
Extremely mature.
That right there should be something that immediately makes you happy. And not just that, the fact that you're so aware of how you were parented by your parents that you make a conscious decision to parent differently, that in a way that benefits your children. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because especially now with this generation, and just 2020 was crazy, and it seemed like 2021 is going in the same route.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of certain kind of individuals that we don't see no more. You don't see the woman or the man that's actually conscious of how they grew up. That's actually conscious of, for lack of a better term, just the mental disabilities. And all of that comes with how you were raised, the environment you were raised. Mm-hmm. And we can't control that. But what we can control is exactly what you're doing. You parent in a way that not only is it good for you, but you're there for your children in a way that your father and your mother wasn't there for you.
Right.
So, me personally, and I told you this off camera, when I first started meditating, it was because of the anxiety. Started off smooth. There's no wrong or right way to do it. Everybody has a different method of meditation. First way I was doing it, smooth, would always calm and relax me, no matter what I'm doing. For some reason, I guess, just life, stress gets a little higher.
Right.
Certain methods might not work. So now, and it might sound a little weird or whatever, but the shower does wonders for me. Just closing my eyes and focusing on the sound of the water and clearing my head.
I thought of that the other day too. You told me that, so I was like, I was going over something like just a hard conversation that I had with somebody a few days ago. So it kind of put me into it got me into that anxiety. I was like, I don't even know how long I was in that shower.
But
steamed up, my head was just to the side. I just kind of snapped back and I was like, whoa, how long was I like in my head like that? So yeah, I kind of I used that one the other day.
I go through it a lot, and once I found out that the shower works, and just focusing on the sound of that, now that's my go-to place. And it's basically just that, figuring out what works for you, figuring out a different method, and it seems like you kind of got it down pat. When you feel it coming along, you make sure. One of the things that I noticed is whenever you're going through it, and this is also a positive thing to focus on, you make sure that your kids are together. You make sure that your son is there watching, the movie he's watching. Mm-hmm. And you make sure your daughter, even if she's doing something completely separate, you make sure your daughter's with him.
Yeah. Until
you come back. So that's another important and positive thing. That when you're going through it, you're not just whatever and then go to the back room. You make sure they together, they're good. You go, calm down, relax, and then come back. So the reason why I'm saying that is because everybody got a hard life. And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to create this show, to show how mental health correlates directly with life. A lot of people think it doesn't because they're not clinically diagnosed. A doctor never told me that you have depression or anxiety. Mm-hmm. I picked up a book and learned about me and figured out why I was feeling certain feelings.
I wish everybody was like you.
It takes time. I'm 30 now, and just 5 years ago, I could tell you I wasn't where I'm at now mentally. Mm-hmm. But it just takes a journey. And in my personal opinion, I haven't known you for a long time. In my personal opinion, I would say that you on the right track, and that's because you're aware of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not aware of it. They just moving and not knowing what's going on.
That's my problem with a lot of people in my life. I see the problems. I see where it's coming from.
But they don't really.
And it sucks because I'm like, I could see it, but if they don't see it, I mean, nothing's gonna come out of it. It gotta start from within, and that's one reason why I say certain people, I feel like I'm better off living separate, because it's we have two different mentalities now. I'm trying to better myself. I'm I know the reason why I am the way I am. I want to change it. I would like reciprocation. Let's all try to be better people and try to figure out why we are the way we are. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? Like, you know, if it's something negative, let's try to change it instead of saying, oh, well, that's just the way that I am. Like, that, I think that's the one thing I've grown to hate about a lot of people. I don't like to hear that when they say, well, that's just the way that I am. So what do you mean? So you don't evolve? That was the last thing I said to this, but I was like, oh, so you don't evolve? You say you don't change, you don't evolve. So I was like, I know I've changed. I want to evolve in life. I don't want to be the same, like, dumb young girl year after year. I'm not even going to say my age. Not going to say my age because I'm not 20-something like everybody's probably thinking. No, I'm not. But, you know, I don't want to be the same person I was when I was 21. I don't want to be the same person I was when I was 25. Like, it don't matter. It don't matter. I don't want to be the same person I was last year. I don't. Like, I'm already doing things to change that. So, you know, I feel like everybody else should be just doing the same. Especially the world we live in today. Like, come on. Let's evolve.
Jenny, once again, thank you for stepping into the room.
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate it. Once again, I am Desmond Bonet. This was The Room, where having a healthy mind is priority.